KFGO for a Cause, brought to you by Neil Van Dam. He's back in studio with us. Neil, welcome back to KFGO.
Good morning.
And Amy Eiler with It Takes Two, hanging out on a Sunday morning with you. And Pastor Dale is in the studio with us from the Lighthouse. Pastor Dale, welcome to KFGO Radio.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I think of the Lighthouse as a church, but I also think of you as a recovery center. What do you think of when you think of the Lighthouse, or how do most people think of you?
That's a good question. I think most people in the community who know about us think of us as the Lighthouse.
Yeah.
And they're not always sure. In fact, people will often come to stuff at Lighthouse not knowing for sure what they're coming to, but they know it's, for many people, a safe place to come and a place where there's help and support. So we are a church. We are faith-based, and I'm a pastor and have been a pastor a long time, but we have a recovery foundation to everything that we do. And so I would say that we're also probably a large recovery community organization is kind of the official words that are used in the country today. And we are probably the largest recovery community organization in North Dakota, and I have hundreds of people who come through our doors for various things. Some of them for church, many of them for recovery from substance use disorders, mental health issues. Some just come to hang out because we do operate some recovery center that is in conjunction with the state of North Dakota. They help fund it, and it meets on our properties. And so you're absolutely correct. We are a variety of things.
So yes, all of the above.
Yep. And I don't know that most people know quite the dynamic of all of the various things that we do, but it's become quite an operation. Yeah.
So tell us your story with the Lighthouse. Like, where does your story begin? When do you get involved? I know your location now. It's like, isn't it like the oldest church in Fargo or something like that? It's been around a long time. Have you always been there, though?
We've not always been there. So I'm I've been a pastor my whole adult life. I grew up in Bismarck, and I have been part of the church my entire life. But it would be 12 years ago now. I was really struggling pretty severely with alcohol and with depression and burnout. And the short story that I often tell is that I drank myself out of a job and found recovery, started Lighthouse Church along with my wife and some family and some friends. Very early in my recovery, I would not recommend to people to start a church early in their recovery because I had much to learn still. But I knew how to pastor a church, and we wanted to be a church that was different than anything I had ever seen in my life, where everybody could come, where there would be no judgment. We would not try to force people into a box saying you have to look a certain way, dress a certain way, act a certain way, even say you believe a certain way to come, that you could come and get support and help. All the while, we would teach the faith out of a biblical foundation. And Lighthouse started at Shields Arena in the bar. We rented space there for about 9-10 months, and a good friend of mine purchased a building in downtown Fargo. I don't believe it's the oldest church building in Fargo, but it is.
It feels like it's got to be one of them.
It's 113 years old, I think, or something like that.
It's the big white church by the old Mexican village.
Yeah, across from the back parking lot.
Yeah.
Yep. It was a Christian Science church, and it had been empty for a number of years. And it's perfect location for what we do. It's just down from the courthouse. There's a lot of recovery in the area. We're also kind of on a walking path between the Engagement Center, which many listeners would know what that is, and the Gladys Ray homeless shelter. We are really a place where a lot of the downtown community that are struggling certainly know who we are and what we do. And so that has been our home. We actually have two other properties now down in that same area. They're old houses also, just as old as the church, and they were serving as law offices at one time, but we have acquired them, and they serve as a place for our staff to work out of, as well as just a meeting place for people to come.
So you start this 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And is your vision what it is today?
No, I had no idea. You could not have planned what we do, and I was. One could say I was pretty unprepared for what it has become, and we have so many people who are hurting. The complexity of life issues that people deal with in an overwhelming and overpowerful way has been overwhelming and overpowerful for us. I sometimes go home at night just shaking my head, both from a standpoint of, how do we do this, but also just from a standpoint of it's amazing to see what God has done through this community. People are generally good and compassionate, and the level of struggle, the depth of struggles that people deal with significant mental health issues or serious substance use issues, relationship issues. It really is amazing, and we have been truly blessed to be able to be part of a work that I think is unique, not only in Fargo-Moorhead, but really anywhere.
I was just going to ask that from a church standpoint, from a recovery standpoint, there's really no one else like you in Fargo, right?
No, it's hard to find anybody else quite like us anywhere, honestly.
Yeah.
I've done some searching just because it would be nice to be able to collaborate with others. But from a standpoint of kind of operating a Christian organization that functions as a church, but also works with the homeless and people who are dealing with severe mental health issues and substance use issues, it's really hard to find other organizations quite like us.
I mean, you are doing the real work. Like, that's the real work. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah. From a faith-based standpoint, we would say that we're on the front lines of the mission field from a a social services standpoint. We're on the front lines of the field, the work field. And, we do have an extremely under-resourced congregation. And so we have really tried to develop ways of telling our story. So we appreciate opportunities like this to let the community know about who we are and what we do, because everything, of course, that we do in our modern society costs money. But we have been taken care of, and it's been pretty remarkable.
I mean, at one point, I remember like making a call out that if people had bikes that they weren't using anymore, that you were taking up collections and fixing up bikes so that people who you were serving could have a way to get around.
Yes. In fact, that ministry continues. That part of our ministry continues, and it's been on hold a little bit because we're doing some remodeling in our building. But yes, we have a bike ministry where it's quite remarkable the number of people for whom that becomes their major mode of transportation.
Okay, we are with your. I don't even know where to go with your mission and your ministry because it is so deep, and we'll try to explain more about what you're doing here when we come back. Pastor Dale is with us. He is with the Lighthouse, which is a church and recovery services. I just keep saying those two things. I know you're so much more than that. We just talked about bikes and all of the things that you're providing there, but the Lighthouse is where you can find them if you just Google that. Pastor Dale, we think of you as recovery services. We think of you as a church, but you've mentioned in a lot of things that you've said that there's a mental health component here too, that maybe we're not talking enough about. Those our friends and our neighbors in our community that are in need of mental health services also find some respite with you at the Lighthouse Church.
Yeah, it's been a real big surprise to me. I mean, especially in my addiction, I battled some depression. I was going through a serious burnout, and I was not in a healthy place. But the thing that I was unprepared for within my Lighthouse ministry and experience was just the variety of kinds of mental health issues. And, you know, we see a lot of people for whom their mental health issues are debilitating. They literally are potentially just steps away from homelessness, or they are homeless. They find that they cannot maintain a job. They might be able to get a job, but not able to maintain it. Relationships are difficult. And I've been overwhelmed with the reality that is something that a big part of our population deals with. I mean, I think most people who are generally functional in society do realize that, well, people battle depression and anxiety. We might all get a little anxious here or there. But there is a part of our culture that deals with significant issues of mental health and substance use, because those often go hand in hand for such people. And that has been a surprise. We find people who come to visit our church or our Celebrate Recovery program on Thursday nights who, you know, I'll ask, how did you find out about Lighthouse? And they will say, my therapist suggested I come and check it out. And that no longer surprises me, but at first it was starting to surprise me. And I think that there was a realization that we get better by working with other people, that nobody is going to be able to really get healthy or turn their life around on their own in isolation. In fact, we have a saying that isolation is our enemy. And we try to really encourage people to build relationships, to build community. And from a faith standpoint, I've tended to believe that God, you know, primarily heals us through other people and through relationships. That's certainly been the case for me in my own addiction issues, and I think it's the case often with mental health issues. So when people come to Lighthouse, they, no matter what you're coming to, they realize that they're welcome, that there's no perfect people allowed is our phrase. We know there's no perfect people, so anyone is welcome, but we really work hard to try to create a non-judgmental atmosphere and allow people to be themselves and to be transparent, because once we're transparent and begin to talk about our issues and begin to learn from one another that maybe I'm not as unique as I thought, some other people deal with these issues as well, and we can help each other and walk alongside one another towards wellness. And yeah, it's been really a remarkable experience. So I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm a pastor. I went to seminary, but I can't believe how much I have learned and have had to learn regarding mental health and the variety of kinds of issues that people deal with. One of the first, just quickly, one of the first conversations or things that I ask people who are struggling with their mental health is, are you on medications? Are you taking your medications? Are you taking your medications as prescribed? When was the last time that you had your medications evaluated? I would never have known to ask those questions 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is, what do you want other people to know? What have you learned that you think would be helpful for people who are not in the position as you are every day to work with all walks of life and people who are struggling, who are living amongst us? Like, what should everybody know? Because I can feel like you're like, I have all this knowledge. How can I get it to everybody else? Which is just like the pastor in you, right?
Yeah.
Wanting to sort of bring everyone together, create community, but also dispel some of those myths that people might have.
Yeah, I would like people to know that even though we need to take responsibility for our addiction issues, our mental health issues, Nobody asked for them. For many of them, they are potentially intergenerational. There may be genetic predispositions. And the reality is that a lot of the issues that people deal with, that I encounter at least, these are issues that are life controlling. And so let's be understanding of that. Let's be supportive and encouraging of that. Not every church can or wants to or even should be trying to do what we do. But, I am grateful that in our community, God has led me to a place where there is a place like Lighthouse to do what we do. And I would also just like people to know that that wellness comes from dealing with your stuff. And we all have stuff. We've all got stuff that nobody else knows about. And one of the things that I think that we can do better as a society is begin to admit that we all have some struggles in life. And the more open and transparent we are about that, the more that we begin to share kind of a common human experience and a human identity, as opposed to the things that separate us and cause us to be different.
Yeah. If someone is listening to you and is called to be a part of the Lighthouse in some way, how can they do that?
Well, I would encourage you to take a look at our website. It's lhcfargo.org. And there might be something, especially if you're just looking to maybe get some help, open yourself up to some supportive services. I would do that and know that you're more than welcome to come and check it out. And if we're not the right place for you, we'll help you find the right place. If you're interested in serving, there are a lot of people who do come to our church who aren't necessarily people with substance use disorders or serious mental health issues, but they love the mission of what we do, and they come and they serve and they help. And there are people who support our ministry financially, who we never or rarely see at Lighthouse, but they know what we do is important, and that has been a real blessing and needed. But, the biggest thing that I would want people to know, that if you are struggling, if your mental health, if your substance use is debilitating right now, if you're in a place where you're not so sure that life is worth living or you can go on, we want you to know that there is help and there is a place where you are welcome, and we will walk alongside you towards a better life if you're open to it.
Pastor Dale, when I've come into contact with people who are working with you or been there, they love your "no perfect people allowed" line. Like, that is something that you guys live by. So I don't want to get through this half hour without putting that out there. No perfect people allowed. And even when we've had some of you on our programs, people will text into the show like, make sure to say "no perfect people allowed." That's why we go.
Yeah, it really it's a phrase that wasn't original with Lighthouse. But it certainly gets people's attention, and they love it. So, yes, if you're perfect, probably find a different place to go. But if you're not, you're more than welcome.
Pastor Dale from the Lighthouse Church here in Fargo, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing your mission and your impact on our community.
Thank you for the time, and God bless.